My name is Chimuaya Kele, most know her. And I want to thank God for this opportunity to share what God has done in my life. The first thing God did for me is that He brought me to the knowledge of Himself. And He did that at a very tender age. And He used a lot of people, Sunday school teachers, whatever, to do that. But most especially, I want to appreciate the work of my parents in my life, of the work of God in my life through my parents. Yes? Okay. And God continued to prove Himself faithful in my life, especially in my secondary school days. Myself and a group of friends, the Lord kept using us in our school. I was at Federal Government Girls College, Owerri then, to propagate His gospel, and of course that annoyed the devil. So at my final year in secondary school, I became ill. Had a very strange illness that I couldn't comprehend. Headache, no fever, no temperature. And after some time it will resolve and start again. When I left school, it happened then. I was no longer in boarding house, I was with my parents. And I was taken to the university hospital. Both parents are academic staff of University of Nigeria, Nsukka. So I was taken to the university hospital and finally moved to the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital in Enugu. And there it was detected that I had a disc edema. So that there was some water retention in my brain, and that was what was causing the headache. And sometimes my eyes will be bulging out, I'll be having double vision. Well, that resolved itself then. After 2 years again, and came with, in a very severe manner, not just the headache, vomiting, stiffness of the body, and the doctors came up with a diagnosis of idiopathic pseudotumor cerebral. That meant that my cerebral cavity was imagining a tumor and beginning to misbehave. I was taken from UNCH to the National Hospital in Abuja, and there all hell let loose. I vomited in Abuja till I vomited blood. I was having series of seizures, had a palsy, a partial nerve palsy. My face just moved from right to left. It was a very ugly experience. I could not close my eye unless a nurse came and closed it and maybe bandaged it so that it could close so that I can sleep. And there in Abuja, I lost my vision completely. And it was clear we had exhausted all the opportunities we had here in Nigeria. So my mother and I, we traveled to Great Britain. And when we got to Britain, we were taken to a hospital called, we were actually referred to that hospital, Moorfields Eye Hospital in London, and it was supposed to be the best. At first, we tried to avoid it because it was expensive. But after going through 7 hospitals in England, we knew we had no choice but to go to Moorfields. And when we got to Moorfields, after a lot of tests and scans and everything, the doctors just came and told me, your optic nerves are dead, and there's nothing, anything medical science can do for you, so you are going to remain blind till the day you die. But God had a different opinion. While I was in Britain, the Lord visited me and began to touch me, and I started recovering. At first, I didn't even know. I thought I was getting used to the environment, but after some time, one day I was watching television with my mother. That was the day the Lord proved to me that He has healed me. And 2 people came on stage, Oral Roberts and Richard Roberts were preaching. And I just told my mother that this Richard Roberts is looking so old. I don't know whether he's competing with his father. And then my mother said, so you can see this television. You know, it was then I just realized that actually I was supposed to be blind. I shouldn't have seen the television. And God started everything. I lost vision on 2 eyes. I recovered it on 1 eye till this very day. But the Lord used that 1 eye to put me through university. I came out. I was the best graduating student in my class. The university decided to retain me as an academic staff. I completed my master's. I'm still about to complete my doctorate. And God crowned all these things up by giving me the best husband any woman can ever have. And God began to prove Himself in my life. Finally, because I don't have so much time, a few months ago, I had a baby. Shortly after the Enugu convention, I was bleeding. So I went for a scan. They said I had a placenta previa. I knew I was going to go for a C-section, but I began to pray. Then I left the country. And when my pregnancy was 29 weeks old, I started bleeding. That very day, I bled till I was unconscious and I nearly died. And the doctors there, even in the US, they were very confused. They decided they were going to move me to another hospital, but that they couldn't do that with an ambulance because I would lose so much blood before we get there. And they invited a helicopter, but then there was a problem. There was ice. The helicopter could not land. And my baby was finally delivered, and the baby was now the one taken to another hospital while I was left there. After 5 days, I regained consciousness, was able to see my child. My child was kept for almost 2 months in a hospital. She was sustained. She was in an incubator for 30 days. For 5 weeks, she was sustained on oxygen. And today, she's here with me. She has no deformities. After her birth, I incurred a debt of almost $300,000. And the American government decided that since her birth was premature, it was an accident, so they wrote off that bill completely for me. God taught me a lot and how to serve in full gospel. I learned a lot from my parents, especially what God can do through serving Him through full gospel. Today, my husband is a chapter vice president, and God has really been proving Himself faithful in our life. Praise God.